What is up, hot makers? Welcome to HotMakes, where we take hot people. We talk about hot things that they do. Maybe in the heat. I don't know. I don't know what the temperature is like over where Kirby exists. But I'm Jim from the Edge of Tech, and this is
Caleb from Geary Electronics. No.
Oh, Geary Electronics. I love that.
Time out. Did you say we take hot people?
We take hot people. We take hot people and show off the hot things that they make.
That's what it is
specifically.
Exactly what we do. That's right. Knew it. How we doing?
Hot people in. It's definitely not us.
Yeah.
So housekeeping, front of the top of the show. How you doing? What are you up to?
I am great. I'm actually starting prints like up to right now. I just while you were introing, I was hitting go on a print that I need to get done, and
well, you do that.
We're gonna talk.
I'll
about
go through
that.
the intro. Yeah.
You keep going.
So, as always, links are always in the description of the video for all the things we talked about in today's show, including the hot mix that we're going to show off later. There's a link to the big master doc of all the hot mix there. Everything that's been tagged. If you enjoy the show, consider joining or donating to the show's Oreo fund. There's a link to that in the description as well. I think Nightbot is throwing it out on the HotMakes channel. It's the Edge of Tech PayPal link, but if you include the text HotMakes, we can dedicate it to the show so that we can take care of some of the admin stuff. We also have super chats and stuff, but YouTube takes a lot of money, so PayPal is better.
I just pulled my phone out of my pocket and my flashlight's on.
Oh,
I thought I was getting warm. I was like, hey.
Is that your flashlight in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
It's getting a little warm in here.
And then last but not least, make sure you're watching and subscribed over on the main HotMakes channel. We're still simulcasting between this and the Edge of Tech channel, but there's a link in the doobly-doo at the bottom. We've got just over 1,000 subscribers, and we're continuing to grow. So let's keep that going.
Yeah.
All right, what are you printing? What do you got?
Well, I want to talk about that when we talk about when we talk to our guest about about his very large item.
Okay.
So I want to bring it up then.
Excuse me.
Our guest is. We bring on hot people to show off hot things, and this one has a large item.
Large item.
Yeah. We introed it, or you introed it in the teasers for tonight, and he has a Guinness Book of World Record, I believe.
And I think that's what a lot of people will
that?
Recognize, because a lot of people saw that making its rounds. But actually, I have a little bit of history with the Kirby Downey name, and I'm looking forward to just dumping that on him.
Well, I think we could either talk to him behind his back, or let's bring him in. Let's just do it. It's fast. We're bringing him in early tonight because so
he doesn't have to wait.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kirby Downey himself. How's it going, man?
Yeah, how you all doing?
We are doing okay.
It's been great.
I'm already sweating, so
yeah. It's okay. No pressure. Right?
Wait, are you sweating because we brought someone hot in, or because it's hot where you are?
Because it's hot where I am.
Okay, just making sure. I mean, you started it like that, so
I'm literally in a workshop barn, and I did not ask anybody to turn the air conditioning on before I got back to the house. So it's currently working on the temperature in here.
Well, it's middle of the night, so it's nice and cool.
Yeah, it's nice midnight for you.
Nightly breeze, yeah, that's fine. A lot of makers are those night owls, the guys, the people that really just burn that midnight oil, work late.
Yeah, you can't stop.
You go to bed, and you listen to your print. You're like, what was that noise? You go, you sit there, and you watch it for the next hour.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I'll be right
back. There you go.
I started 4 right before the stream, and I'm hoping. There's one more in there. I was going to get something on for a test, and then I was like, "Oh, I didn't start that one, but I'll do it later." So man, like Caleb was super pumped. Yeah, Caleb was super pumped to bring you in. He has some history he wants to talk to us about. Obviously,
I'm quite interested to hear about this,
and which I'm super pumped for. I've been terrible the last few weeks here about like watching anything about our guests, especially like we have guests that I'll invite, guests that Caleb will invite, vice versa. And I'm like, I don't look, like Caleb says, I don't really look ahead because I want to be surprised too. But there's one thing that caught my attention. It was, you know, the Guinness record thing. And
I want to talk about everything else too, but this is the thing that I know a lot of people have probably, like, even if people don't necessarily know who you are, I know that they've seen that.
So we should start there before we go any further. Who are you? What do you do? And then we'll jump right into it.
Where can we find you?
Yeah.
KirbyDowney.com, where most things just go to. But yeah, it was like 2014. I kind of started tinkering, you know, kind of putting the pieces together that I knew how to design in SolidWorks, and I knew about 3D printers. SolidWorks, I can make whatever I want with 3D printers. I can put it together and I can have whatever I want. So I started designing props from video games that I was a fan of, and I thought, let me put this on Reddit. And a couple of people on Reddit had a look at it, and they were like, they want this too. So I ended up working for my manufacturer, and I was uploading loads and loads and loads of models to them. Mostly Destiny related content, and that got me involved with Joel Telling and Barnacles and that stuff when Destiny first came out. And I started working with a lot of the Destiny YouTubers here in the UK, and that led me to work with PlayStation and that to create props for their releases and all that. And it's a lot of fun. Like the angle that I took it at is that I was creating props that you could take off your printer and paint, and it looked amazing. I wanted to create that entry level look and the amount of effort needed. I mean, you can sit there and sand for hours and hours and hours, but that can scare away a lot of people. But if you can show people this is what you can get away with minimal effort, you have an amazing looking prop that
I love that.
like my Thorn, I'm still every day getting people commenting about how amazing it is and how they've printed it. At some point, one of the Destiny guns that I designed, the Thunderlord, which was this massive machine gun, I ended up getting in contact with the guy who designed it for the game, and he was blown away with it. And eventually someone at Bungie printed it for that guy. And he ended up running around Bungie printing, you know, the guy that designed the gun for the game running around with the gun that I designed to be 3D printed.
That's so cool.
Which was really interesting. And that got me involved with a lot of game developers in that to do their releases, and one of them being Doom 2016, where Bethesda commissioned me to make a life-size Doom BFG, which I did. It only took, I think, 12 MakerBots, about 40
Only
days
12.
to print.
How many days?
I think it was about 40 days, because we were printing all sorts of other stuff in between.
Only
and
12
then we
printers, only 40 days.
yeah, and then we assembled it over 2 days while they had a camera crew filming it, and then 6 months later I found out I was in the Guinness Book of World Records because of it, for the heaviest and the largest
didn't even know
prop.
that you were doing that.
Nah, that was Bethesda. Bethesda basically took out a double page in the gaming edition, and they had a bunch of world records, and there was my prop. And then if you Google my name followed by Guinness World Records, I'll pop up on those two records.
That's
That was fun.
That is cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was my question about that. I was like, I thought you like had more direct input into it, but really you were along for the ride and you got in.
Pretty much. A lot of the things that I do is just along for the ride.
That's awesome.
Etsy says 40 days, and I complain about anything I have to print over 4 hours.
Yeah.
So it's actually I wasn't expecting it to tie in so well, but you mentioned, I'll just show it off now. You mentioned making prints that showing people that you can get cool results with minimal effort and not doing all that sanding and stuff. I actually I didn't tag this, but I'm working on this little project here.
Cool.
This is a raw print in gold silk. I have not painted this. I have not sanded it. Nothing. It is raw material. And my goal here was just to make it. And I've got the back of the head that I'm going to make. I've got some things I'm going to put on the inside. I'm not going to wear it. It's just going to be a display piece.
I was going to say, how you going to tuck the beard in there as well?
Well, no, it won't even fit on my fat noggin. Look at that. Look how much of it. Yeah.
I think what would be amazing is if you tuck the beard out through the mouth. So it just like
It's all
straight
just
out
coming through that tiny little coin slot. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Dennis Crawford,
no,
thank you so much. $10. I wanted to throw that out there to the PayPal.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Nice.
sir.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. All right.
No, you're good. So you got started with, was that before or after you got started working with Solidworks?
So around that time, that's when SolidWorks got involved. The community manager at SolidWorks was a huge Destiny fan. Her husband is actually a big Destiny YouTuber at this point.
It's all connected.
Nice.
And yeah, from that, they were kind of like, cool, we really like the guns that you make, but we can't talk about the guns that you make, which was kind of awkward. So we discussed it. I said, I've got these really cool swords that I made from Destiny. And they said, cool, we want to write an article about the swords that you made and that stuff and put that onto the SolidWorks blog site. Now, SolidWorks blog site at that point was always just like blocks of engineering material and, just engineering type of stuff. And there's me with some swords. And that actually broke the blog website with the traffic that it actually got in.
Nice.
So I didn't know about this until years later, again, just going on for the ride. And yeah, since then I started doing a bit of content for SolidWorks and being like, here's a cool idea. Here's how to learn the basics of it. You take this idea and run with it, see what you can do. Create that inspirational bit of content that, someone could look like, hang on, if you've done it this way, if I do it this way and add these, I can make it bigger and better. Like that's just like the idea of not finishing my props properly. It's that, here's an idea, run with it. I mean, the amount of people like message me and say, oh, make this gun next. I'm like, I'd rather sit down with you and show you how to make it than you just pay me to make it, because, then the community grows.
Sure.
You get more out of it than just a cool prop.
I like
Absolutely.
it. That's
Absolutely.
a cool thought, train of thought too. That's a lot of the makers in the space, not all of them, but a lot of them are like that, right? Everyone would rather help each other out.
Yes.
To gain the knowledge and spread that knowledge than to be like, yeah, I made this, here you go. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, doing these props, I ended up going to these events in America for SolidWorks and that, and hanging around with these engineers. And, there was a time in Dallas, I was sitting at a table building Lego with a guy talking about Lego. I mean, like, I don't know if you know, I like Lego. And
a lot of it back then. And I appreciate
like,
that.
I sat and chatted with this guy for about an hour about Lego and favorite sets and how just the Lego bricks were made and going into that. It was only at the end of the conversation I realized he was an engineer from SpaceX.
Yep.
And, it really clicked in my head. It's like, everybody that goes to this event, you're there for example, going to a 3D printing event, you're there for 3D printing, but you're making those connections about the nerdy things that you are really passionate about. And that's what I like about the maker community, is you're using this technology to bring out your passions and really show it off. And I've always been an advocate to say, like, if I can make this stuff, so can you. Printers are accessible, design tools are accessible. And, being involved closely with SolidWorks and being like, you need to push to the maker communities and that. And eventually they release the maker edition that's out now. Mm-hmm. They're starting to see that the makers are a core part. I mean, my whole ideology is that your future engineers aren't going to come from, people that want to go into engineering. They're going to be the people watching YouTube videos and seeing people like Joel Telling doing stuff on 3D printing, and then or Uncle Jesse making cool helmets, and then they learn about that, and then they start to learn how to design in those tools. And then they, from there, they're like, how can I make this a career, and how can I make, this fun hobby my business? And I've seen it happen. A lot of prop makers start off with making props, and one of my friends, he now works for Bungie, making their official props for their websites and their launches and that stuff. And it all started with him making Halo helmets and suits in college. So
that's cool.
And that's kind of touching back on the Lego part of things too. That's like why I enjoy being active in local Lego, like adult Lego groups, because you get these big minds, these adult people minds that get in and they say, oh, I know how to do this, that, and the other, so I'm going to combine it and display it in a cool way. And then these little kids come up and they're like, oh, I could do that with my toys at home.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you've got a whole new generation of STEM kids, basically.
I mean, what's amazing, there's a whole network, and very big in the States, for SolidWorks users, called the SolidWorks User Group Network, SWOGN. All around the States, in almost every city, there's a group that you can meet and you can chat with designers and that stuff. And I through all of the SolidWorks stuff, I now run the user group network for London, and I'm the European committee rep to help grow the network in Europe. And every year we have big meetings and that, and we get fun people. And I like to get makers involved, but makers in a room next to engineers. One of the most amazing kind of moments for me was Sophie Wong. She was presenting at a user group meeting in Seattle, and she was explaining how she would wrap an arm in, or her chest in cling film and then duct tape, and then cut it off to get the pattern.
Yeah, to make a pattern, yeah.
And then scan that in, put that into a tool like SolidWorks, and sketch it out and laser cut it. And, aerodynamic engineer, a guy who works for Boeing, who does a lot of the aerodynamic stuff, audibly said, "Wow!" Like he was blown away with how she's worked around surfaces to do this kind of stuff.
Cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
So I mean, you put these people in a room together, and they learn from each other. I mean, I taught myself SolidWorks. I studied product design in that, but I wasn't taught SolidWorks. And from that, I have a unconventional way of using SolidWorks, and that's taught me a lot. And it's taught me enough to kind of show different ways of designing and different ways of looking at the tools.
So there's a lot of tools like, there's SolidWorks, Fusion 360. A lot of people use Tinkercad. I mean, there's Mesh Mixer. Like, there's a ton of different ones out there. What made you settle on SolidWorks? And do you suggest? That's kind of a dumb question, saying you're on the committee and all that. Do you suggest people learning how to use it?
SolidWorks, Mr. Community Manager?
So in university, I was learning Unigraphics, and I didn't like it. And the guy that I was living with, he was studying mechanical engineering, and he had SolidWorks. So he installed it on my computer, and that's the reason why SolidWorks. Just that's the tool that I had available. There was really, you couldn't download a free design tool. I think SketchUp had just came out at that point.
Right.
You wouldn't download a design tool.
And now, it's just I've always used SolidWorks, but I've dabbled a bit in Rhino. I've messed around a bit in ZBrush to do organic stuff. It's just SolidWorks is my tool that I use.
Right.
And like a lot of what you can do in SolidWorks, you can do in Fusion. You can do it in Onshape and that stuff. I mean, a friend of mine, he's got a channel called Two Tall Toby. And every year he has a design CAD esports tournament that's currently running now.
What a fun combination of things.
So he comes up with these cool shapes, and people have to quickly 3D model it and then give him the mass of the part.
Oh.
And he's got like 36 people from around the world competing, all using different tools and different design softwares.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So I mean, that's...
Cool,
it doesn't matter what tool you do. Like the best analogy that I've ever spoken about is you ask 100 designers to design a duck. At the end of the result, you're going to get 100 ducks, but each duck is going to be different.
I love that.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I have access to a free membership or a free version or whatever of SolidWorks for being a member of the EAA. Thing, and I haven't even opened it yet. Like, I never downloaded. I haven't opened it. It's kind of intimidating. Like, where do you start in a situation? Like, it could be Fusion, it could be any of them, but where do you start? Just opening it and messing around, or?
So I've never been the kind of person that can learn really from just opening a software and just pushing buttons. I need to go into it with a goal and being like, I need to make something off this. I need to turn this into something. So if I am learning a new software, I need an end goal, and that kind of pushes me to create something. But I create that thing, then it's on to the next thing, and the next idea I'll try and come up with some stupid reason to do something I've never done. Like make it super complicated, added some twists and that stuff, and then it's like, cool, now I've got to spend some time to figure it out. University was quite a good time to experiment with this kind of stuff. Each time I had a new design project, I would come up with an idea that I had no clue how I was going to make in CAD, and
Nice.
I would experiment with it. And each time you just get a bit quicker and quicker at those things that you've learned already, and then that you spend your time experimenting and learning. And we're in an age now where there's just loads and loads of tutorials online. There's forums.
Right.
You got Reddit. You've got the Solidworks forums. I mean, you've got so many places to get information now that you can learn from there.
Awesome. I might have to do it. I'm just intimidated, and time is a factor too. Andrew S. Turn it up. The problem is you'd have to turn it up to 11.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Anyway,
If it's too loud, if you're too loud, it's too old. Does that go the opposite direction? If it's too quiet, you're too young.
I mean, I can turn myself down a little bit if that helps.
good.
No,
No,
I already
you're
I already
good.
turned
You're
you
good.
down on our end.
I'm just giving him a hard time.
He said Jim and Caleb are too quiet, and Kirby is just right. I was like, okay, sounds like we need to turn Kirby down.
Yeah. Nice.
So we, I don't know if you can hear that lawnmower in the background.
Nope.
Liz just showed up. Fantastic. So I wanted to talk to you for a quick second about 5 years ago. First of all, it's funny that you mentioned like Barnacle and Uncle Jesse and Joel Telling, because like those are all guys that we've had on the show multiple times in the past. So like I'm surprised that I hadn't reached out to you already, especially considering the fact that the first file that I printed of yours was Thorn 5 years ago. And I actually made that for Barnacles.
Oh, really?
He took it to a convention of some sort. I can't remember what it was. And I didn't really know him that well at the time. He was a friend of the company. He wasn't my friend yet. And he reached out to the company I was working for because he wanted to bring some sort of prop with him to this event that he was going to. So I made this YouTube video 5 years ago of printing and sanding and finishing, and I modified it so that it had some lights in it and stuff too.
Right.
Because at the time your file, I don't think your file had lights in it. It was just meant to be separate pieces glued together. And I finished it all up and I mailed it to him, and he did a few quick like Instagram videos about it and showed it to Bill Duran while he was there because he shared a hotel room with him and stuff. And I remember, like, I was like, I think that was that guy. And I went back like all those years ago at that 5-year-old video. And in that video, I'm like, yeah, this was designed by Kirby Downey. And I'm like, man, I have him on the show on Monday. This is awesome after all this time. And I actually also, I've got your cutaway model of the AT-AT. I know that was a few years ago that you did that, but I've got that resin printed just off screen back here. Yeah.
No, that was a lot of fun. That was a simple example of like AT-AT is one of my favorite vehicles in Star Wars, and I was like, I want one, so I made one.
Robot Space Camel.
Yeah, and like I always believed that I did it before Lego did, because the big one does the same cutaway stuff. So I feel like Lego copied me on that one.
Lego totally copied you on that one. That's what I heard.
Inspired by.
But yeah, it's just it's that idea of why not? You know, if you want to make something, why not? I mean, I've got tiny little mini milk crates because I wanted one, so I just designed one.
I took one of those. That might have been your design too, because I took one that was about that size and I scaled it up just a little bit, and I used that as a pen cup at work. I wonder if that was your design.
I haven't
too.
released these. These are just for me. I saw someone make them, and I was like, "That's cool." And you know, that's a good way to find some inspiration. Like, you know, I'm not going to rip off someone else's design, but I look at that and be like, I want to make one. I want to see what I can get away with. I wanted to see. I mean, these are printed on really expensive work machines, and I just wanted to experiment and play around with them and try different colors. I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
When I went to school for graphic design, one of the things that one of my instructors told me that I still kind of put into practice to this day is the concept of, if you're having a hard time kind of coming up with an idea, you know, you create your mood board, you create this collection of imagery that is similar to what you want to look for, or similar to what you want to do, that gives you the same concept and vibe. And then you just study something for a little bit, study 3 or 4 of them for a little bit, and then step away for a half an hour and then come back and try to draw it from memory. Yeah. And then see where the similarities are and see where the similarities aren't. And those are the things that stuck with you as the audience member or as the consumer.
Yeah, I know, stepping away from it for a little bit, because, you know, when you're creating something and making something, you spend so much time up front with it, looking at it, you know where all the imperfections are, and you know, when you hand this to someone else and you think, oh, they're going to hate it, and they look at it as an overall product. It's
Oftentimes those little details make you feel like it's not done, but like it's a lot of times our 80% is everybody or our 100% is everybody else's. No, our 80% is everybody else's 100%. I couldn't get that out of my mouth. I got it.
Yeah, if I did that, I would come back and I'd be like, okay, let me just by memory, this is an Ewok. Let's see, that's it. That's my drawing. That's my skills.
Horns, I'm not sure. Yeah,
I don't know.
He would come back to draw. He would come back and draw his best interpretation of a Bamboo Lab printer, and it'll be triangles somehow. And he'd be like, "How did that happen?"
No, I am terrible with that kind of stuff, and that's why I really haven't dove too much into into the design stuff, because I suck at like drawing and that kind of stuff. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like you have to have a little bit of that. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm crazy. My wife, let's see, she has been teaching herself Tinkercad, or just messing with Tinkercad, right?
And you took one of your bamboos home too, didn't you?
I did. Morpheus lives at home now. Cool. Yeah, and Morpheus lives at home, and she's been working on stuff, and she's just been going. Like today, I got notifications that 3 different times that my printer, that Morpheus was done, finished printing, and she's just been like printing and iterating and printing. And one of the things she did
printing stuff
recently, like she just did this, and she's just trying to model one of those like hanging basically a chandelier kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And she's making a beach house. She does a lot of miniatures, Kirby, and she's making a beach house, and she found a lamp that she likes, or a chandelier kind of thing that she likes, and she's like, I'm gonna figure out how to do this. And then she obviously beaded it and wrapped it and all that. Something I'm super proud of, that she's super proud of, she made this whole thing with the exception of the sink, and that's all awesome. 3D printed except for the sink. Oh yeah, and the 2 the handles, right? That was her inspiration.
Oh, that's awesome.
And this is what she ended up with.
Well done.
Really well done.
Yeah, hinges.
You can do a lot in a simple software like Tinkercad. We just talked about this last episode with the model trains and stuff.
Yeah, she said, I'm gonna figure this out. The countertop was a separate piece because she wanted it to be a separate piece so she could make it white like the countertop we saw. She printed it, fitted it, painted it, like all that stuff, but she did it all right in Tinkercad. So now I'm like, with you talking about SolidWorks, I'm like, it's so cool to see this,
I mean, like, I always find that's like a natural progression. You buy a printer, you print all the things on Thingiverse and My Factory and printables.
Right.
Then you're like, what else can I print? What can I make for me? And you go Tinkercads and SketchUp and that. I mean, at work, we've got a customer that does the most highly detailed model excavators, and all made in SketchUp.
Oh, that's cool. Like working like small scale replicas.
Yeah, small scale replicas that will go cool. I'm not too sure where they get placed, but he just builds these really cool high detailed stuff. I mean, I've got a friend that's an absolute wizard in Tinkercad. Can make any good lightsaber look amazing compared to what I can do in SolidWorks.
That's so cool. That's so crazy. Yeah.
Oh no! Again, with that drawing ability, you gotta have that. I would just suck at that.
Jameth, a good drawer.
I need to copy something. That's I'm gonna start scanning things. And be like, look what I did.
Reverse engineering is also an awesome way to learn. It's kind of like you look at something like, how was this made? I mean, quite often the props that I make from video games or movies, all I have is screenshots and that stuff, and I've got to figure out how to recreate those shapes and how to bring them to life. And quite often, especially video games don't care about how physics work. They don't care how hinges work or anything like that. You've got to figure out how to actually make it work.
There are a lot of video game armor designs, especially in the Halo universe, where if you were to make that in real life, you would just have to hold your arms up like that kid in A Christmas Story, because in the game, the biceps will just phase into the chest piece, but in real life, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever watched a guy named Impact Props?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got one of his helmets. I've actually got to paint it. And
Oh, that's cool.
so he's a SolidWorks user as well. And him and I hang out every year at our SolidWorks convention. And his suit, like on screen, looks amazing. But when you get up close, that's where you start to see it's foam. It's literally just foam. And you really get to see kind of like how much the camera can hide away the details and that stuff. And you know, you look at how films are made and that, and how, you know, it looks amazing and looks like metal on screen, but you know, you can get away with a lot. And we do a lot of props as well for work for certain films and that. I know some of them were for the Flash, a lot of the background props and that stuff. And
nice.
yeah, they would use all sorts of technologies in house and out of house to make their props.
That's cool.
And it's all just usually 3D printed, or 3D printed and then cast.
That's awesome. Do you have anything near like with you that you've created and you can show us? Like, I know you have a whole wall of stuff.
What are you working on next?
Yeah.
I'm
you're allowed
cross
to talk
stitching
about
at the moment.
That's awesome.
Like,
Sarah's gonna want to see this.
so I'm cross stitching a. Let me.
That's
take
awesome.
my exposure the other way. This is about 6% of what I'm making of a massive 151, all the original generations and that. It's terrible at the back.
That's so cool.
Like,
That's awesome.
As a maker,
Just trying a little bit of everything. And that's what we do.
my hands always need to be doing something. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I enjoy Lego, because it's that kind of thing. That's much cheaper than Lego. But I mean, the latest thing
like,
that I made
people
was
ask,
these
you
little
know,
crates.
If somebody asks, what do you collect? I collect hobbies. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I've got drones in the little cupboard over there, and that was supposed to be a thing I was supposed to build. All sorts of stuff. Quite honestly, I don't make a lot of things for myself. I've got like some projects in plastic tubs up there of things that I've been experimenting, but quite often it'll be something just like these crates, which is the latest thing that I've been messing around with. It was kind of like, I want to make these. It took me 15 minutes to model it up. I printed a couple. I've got more on my shelf, and I just don't know what to do with them now. It's a tricky. I have a bit of ADHD in terms of like I have short attention span, so I'm kind of like, this is great, and then it's kind of like, okay, I'm bored. I want to do the next thing now. This is an Iron Man helmet somewhere. I was trying to find it. I've got the FDM version, but I printed one at work. Which means that no effort required, and you get amazing results.
What?
I have a motivation issue when it comes to that kind of stuff. When it, like, if it's somebody else's project, I want to work on it. Where if it's my project, it'll sit there forever.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, my printers are somewhat collecting dust at work. Dust in my cupboard, so because I just print things at work now. It's just much quicker.
You know, you're talking about work. Can you say where you work?
Yes. I work at a company.
Or what you do. How about that?
Yeah. So I work for a company called 3D Print UK. So after doing all of the props and that stuff, I decided I want to do 3D printing professionally. I want to make a career out of this. I want to work with printers.
Sure.
So
This is what a lot of people want to do, but can't. I mean, it's not easy.
it's very, very, I don't want to say closed off, but it's not a big enough industry. So the company I work for is 3D Print UK, and we're basically a bureau. Similar to Shapeways, but we specialize in just SLS, or powder-based technologies. Ooh. So we got 4 HP MJF printers, and we've got, I think it's 12 SLS EOS machines. Like in your title, that's where we're printing, 140,000 parts a month with these printers. We're essentially...
Yeah.
Our specialty is batch production. We're bridging that gap between the person who's just started an FDM, comes up with a concept, wants to grow that product into something they can make hundreds of, but they don't have the ability to go for tooling, for injection molding or anything like that. So we produce kind of injection mold type parts, and that means that I get to sit and manage a bunch of industrial grade machines in that. So it's a different world, but you know,
is
with
so cool.
with a facility like we have, it makes it accessible to anybody. I mean,
That's cool.
you could never really have an SLS machine in your garage. It's too messy. There's so many peripherals you need, and so many other machines.
Can you explain what makes an SLS machine so good? Like, I mean, like the quality that comes off those things is amazing. But if someone hasn't seen or heard about it, how would you explain SLS?
So what helps it is that it hides the layers. FDM, it builds the layers one on top of each other, so you get those definite lines. With SLS, for example, the laser penetrates about 3 layers deep, and that fuses that. The heat of it also around it melts the powdered plastic around it. The beauty of SLS is no supports. Everything's suspended in powder, which means if you're printing something like this, I can put parts inside of it. Like there's a little lip on it there that was printed like that. I don't need to worry about that lip as well.
Nice.
So you can start, you don't have to worry about overhangs or anything like that anymore. You got a lot more freedom for the shapes that you want to try and create.
So and even when you can get like the detail in resin parts, you're still going to have supports that you're going to have to snip out and areas to clean up. And SLS, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's not as like it's not as crisp as resin. Resin's very good for nice crisp like edges and that. This still has a bit of
you're probably limited to the size of the grains, right?
Yeah, it's still a bit of graininess to it, but we have like it's almost like a big drum sandblast that rotates, that cleans all of our parts, and we got industrial dyes to do all the coloring and that stuff. All the stuff that, like I said, if you're going to have that in your garage, you can't have all these extra machines. And I mean, each build we're producing 100 to 500. Yeah, each build we can put 100 to 500 parts in a build.
Wow.
So I mean,
that's massive.
Yeah, that just allows us to have massive repeatability. You can, take a big part, put it in the center, and then nest tiny little parts from other people all around it. Take advantage of as much space as possible versus like with FDM, which is one at a time sometimes. Well, that's how I do it.
You essentially have a vat, we'll call it a vat of powder, and a laser shooting into that said powder.
Yes.
To essentially melt and weld together your parts.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to?
Can you draw us a picture of that?
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to draw you a picture real quick while you're talking. Keep talking. Yeah.
I mean, it's a big oven in the end. Like it sits at about 170 degrees. The laser tips it to about 171 degrees to melt it. So it's just below melting temperature, and then you don't need a powerful laser to actually melt it. And the trickiest part is the cooling process.
Hang on, we gotta make this
solid.
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew.
There you go. Big thing.
That looks solid.
Powder.
It looks like
pew,
it would
pew.
work.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing.
This right here.
It's like I'm at work again.
This right here.
He's like, how did you get that picture of our warehouse?
This is what I call a solid work.
Yeah, you just made the same joke I just made.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's cool how that works, and the parts look so good.
Yeah, like I said,
so maybe I'm thinking in the limiting small-brained terms of FDM and resin, but maybe you don't have to deal with this at all. But what is it? So if you have how many parts did you say you could fit in one go?
Usually we average between about 100 to about 500 parts.
So 100 to 500 parts in one print. What do failures look like?
Oh, absolutely nasty. Resin prints are messy. It's so bad because you got this perfect little bed with this metal arm that moves across to deposit the powder, and if an eyelash gets caught in that powder and sticks up, that blade will then pick that up and drag it across, and then it pulls all the parts out of the powder, and then if it's hot enough, sometimes it'll wrap around the blade, so then you got to sit with the heat gun and a little handsaw and cut the plastic away. So it gets really, really messy. Any kind of small contamination can cause problems, so you got to be quite cautious.
Dang it,
man!
I bet you that's not cheap when it goes wrong like that.
No, a lot of our builds we average in terms of value, about £2,000 per build, British pounds.
Yeah.
So not
They weigh
weight
2,000
pounds.
pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important to kind of avoid failures. I mean, the MGF machines are incredible in terms of they're similar to kind of like your newer Pruisers. There's so many sensors on it that it makes it fail-proof in a way, because it detects what problem before it's going to happen. Where the SLS machines, they're like your older, kind of ender printers where they just go. If you just a prayer and a wish, and it'll still keep going. Bit of duct tape here and you're good.
Can you, while it's going, and I know we're taking a lot of time talking about the SLS, but while it's going, can you even see what it's doing? I mean, like,
yes. Well, sort of. It's similar to resin where you can only just see the layer happening. Yeah. In picture, just looking at your FDM printer, but only seeing the layer that it's currently printing.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of places kind of keep all this kind of stuff is how much is that in real money? Google can tell me that.
Yeah, we can find out.
How much is that in little chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil?
I don't think Google has a. I mean, I can find out how many. Google's got a converter to find out how many horsepower is converted to duct power.
So that
Are you serious?
in U.S. dollars,
That's awesome.
U.S. dollars, 2,000 pounds sterling would be $2,556.62. Yeah.
Lots.
There you go.
So now I'm gonna look up British pounds to chocolate coins.
How much does the average chocolate coin cost? David Wilson's asking about Oreos too.
Ooh.
Or
Where does that go in Oreos?
you got to divide the pack.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't. Don't tempt me. I will do this math.
Oh boy. With or without water?
Wait,
yeah.
with what? With water?
Water. Yeah, it's a thing.
No. No, Oreo goes milk.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I love it in milk.
Did you like dunk it in a river when you're out, like on a hot day, or
if you need to soften them up, you could.
water? Like maybe
Right,
a cup of tea.
We just broke. Hey, I'll take it in tea too. We just broke Kirby.
I don't. Yeah. So Jim has this thing where he wants Oreos, but he's in a hurry. So he just grabs a handful of Oreos and runs them under the sink real quick, and then shoves them in his mouth and leaves.
What?
Caleb's dad gave this to me. This is the
It's an emergency pack.
emergency survival kit. Just in case I need that,
Bottle of water.
It's yeah. Okay.
Should I even bring up the thing that I do though? Oh, Sarah's giving me the stank face right off screen.
Listen.
Stank. Wait, did you say stank?
Stank face, yeah.
Okay. With this T, not a K.
Yes,
Just
with a
making,
T.
okay, just making sure.
Jeez.
Oh wow, I just got it.
No, that's the one that I got. I told you we get hot people on this show.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, I was tempted
so
to
I
eat
don't
some
like
like
milk.
ghost pepper stuff as well, since you're gonna make it hot.
Ah, there you go. The whole time you're just.
I'm out. Yeah. I made.
Yeah, 'cause-
I do have to say this. I don't know if Dan Adams is watching right now, but I used Dan Adams' recipe from Murph to make some jambalaya on Friday last. Well, it was Thursday
sorry,
night. I brought it to work on
What did you say it was
Friday.
called?
Jambalaya.
What was that?
What's wrong with jambalaya? Now what am I saying wrong?
Isn't it jambalaya? It's jambalaya.
You're crazy
right?
talking.
How do you say it?
He said jambalaya, like you're playing
You can
instruments.
say it jambalaya all day.
I
But
don't know
would
what it is.
I will promise you,
Kirby's from the UK. He doesn't even know what it is.
it's basically rice, spices, meat, that kind of
Jambalaya.
stuff.
I thought it was like
You mean a curry?
J-U-N.
Here,
Yeah, it's like a Louisiana curry.
What does that say?
Basically.
Jambalaya.
How's that spelled?
What does it say?
J-A. Where's your glasses? J-A-M.
I can't see it.
Jambalaya. How else do you say it? Jambalaya. That's what I said, just like Dan's saying it. It's jambalaya. I like jambalaya better. by the way.
Jambalaya.
Anyways,
we'll jambalaya.
So I made some. Dan Adams made it for us at Murph a couple days in a row, like big pots of it, and handed it out. It is really good. It was spicy, but really good. I just wanted to throw that out to Dan. So we got on food, and I had to thank Dan. I actually sent him a picture behind the scenes of me making it in the pot.
Oh, nice.
But
Of your giant of the what did you say earlier? The the huge item. What did you say at the beginning of the show?
I don't know.
You said something about a huge member or something.
Yeah. So before we get to HotMakes, and Caleb derails us completely. No, is there anything you're working on currently that you can actually talk about for anything like production or any of that stuff?
So with the Solidworks user group network, they have a meeting every year called Slug Me, which is the Solidworks largest user group meeting ever. Which they kind of twisted around and made it the longest, and they did like a 24-hour one around the world. Absolute madness. But this year's one in September is going to be focused on the Solidworks YouTube channel. So currently they're all in the planning process, and I'm trying to help them out. And the whole idea is that they want to create a product in SolidWorks Live while having makers actually build it as well.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
I'm trying to keep pushing that, kind of like get the makers to make the things. I mean, this year at 3D Experience World, they had a whole maker section where people could make things and learn about resin casting and all that. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'm always supporting Magic Wheelchair and working on different projects with Magic Wheelchair. A few years back, we built a speeder bike that goes about 40 miles an hour for a kid. That was wild. Last year we did the year before we did a dragon. Last year we did a really cool kind of like touchpad, and always raising money for it. I think this year we raised close to $30,000 for Magic Wheelchair.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Because
really
I shaved my beard, but it's back already. It's great. But for that, we were eating lots of hot stuff. We did the Hot Ones Challenge, and then I did the One Chip Challenge with the CEO of SolidWorks.
That like $15 chip.
Yeah, to raise money for Magic Wheelchair. So
I guess what is that? It's 12 pounds or something.
Well, we did it in America. A friend of mine was like, "Here, try this hot thing." I was like, "Yeah."
That's a heavy chip.
It's 12-pound chip.
Not to bring it back, but listen.
Oh, he brought up the jambalaya.
This is what I made. So it's a box.
Do we need to have a jambalaya off?
It's a box.
Do we need to have an episode
like,
where we're just all making jambalaya on the show?
That's a great idea. It's a box that has like your rice and all the spices and all that stuff in it, and then you add like 2 3/4 cups of water and whatever meat you want to it.
Some
and
Oreos.
let it fly. And you could add
Let
more
it
stuff.
fly.
You could add vegetables, but who eats vegetables? Look at me, I don't eat vegetables. Just this is all I need right here. We were talking about jerky before the show, and I got real hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to go to Kroger later for something, but I think I might go to Walmart instead. Now that you're saying that there's that fancy jerky there.
Jambalaya. Add some Oreos and it's jambalaya.
Jeez.
Got it.
So Kirby, do you want to? There you go. Get an A-net and cook it on the bed.
Do it.
So quick story before we get to HotMakes. I had a coworker. Speaking of cooking things on a printer bed, I had a coworker a while ago who, when I worked at a 3D printing company, you guys can guess which one it was. He was a very interesting fellow, and I walked past his office one day. And I smelled something that just smelled like the weirdest, like salty meat smell I'd ever really smelled. And I looked he wasn't in his office. He was somewhere else. So he was like setting it and walking away to come back for lunch. And I look in there and he's got slices of pimento loaf sitting on the bed of his printer cooking. It's sitting there sizzling. He just cranked his bed up to like 80 and it's just sitting there. And
I mean,
it smelled rancid. So
have you never tried to like warm a cup of coffee on your bed?
I mean, a cup of coffee, yeah, but like just slapping like just straight meat on your print bed. So then later I was walking through and I was like, "Are you serious about this, or is this a joke?" And he just picks up a piece and he bites it. And I was like, "This was the age before like Wham Bam and spring steel sheets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, please tell me you cleaned the purple glue stick off of that bed before you did it. And he was like, nope. And then he just took another bite and walked away.
I mean, it's not toxic, so
Yeah, it's
should
not
be okay.
toxic, right? Right.
Ugh. That's
Yeah.
part of why it smelled so bad too.
Yeah, remember the days
That's what
before
they just said.
flexi sheets.
Threw some good old purple glue stick oil on there, and then you know.
Yeah, but
So
actually
hey,
I
we,
did, later on for April Fools, I did an advertisement for a fake advertisement where we were releasing a slicer setting for cooking bologna on your printer. I made posted that online as an advertisement.
It's like
And-
those were like the dark days, though, when you didn't have all the wham bam sheets and all that stuff.
Yeah, people putting blue tape on their beds and
Hairspray.
got-
Mom was here. If
we have a
Lama
maker
was
bot
here,
at
he
my
would
current
tell us all
company,
about the blue tape, right?
blue tape.
Cool. We got to jump into some hot makes. You gonna hang out,
Yeah,
and watch
Kirby, you wanna-
and check some stuff out?
Check out some stuff that some of our audience made.
Yeah,
The
sure.
hot make segment. Oh, okay. I thought you paused.
I thought so. He was just like,
I thought you were talking
Yeah.
to Caleb, so I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah. No, we'll check them out. Let's see what people are making.
Yeah, I guess I'll hang out for hot makes. Yeah, I guess so. All right, you ready? Let's do
Do
it.
it.
What is? Hang on, I gotta make the screen bigger. Are you there?
Yeah.
oh,
You were
man.
pretending. Jim was pretending to be frozen then too. Everybody's pretending to be frozen.
I love it. I love it. All
Sarah's
right,
sitting next to me. She just stopped in her
Yeah.
seat next to me, live.
that's live. No way. Tell me
Live.
she's in 3D too. I mean, like
She's
that will
in
blow
3D,
my mind.
yes.
Yes. All
This
right,
is some
Dennis
Roger
Crawford tagged us in this. Oh, I haven't opened this yet. I don't even know if it will open. We're gonna find out.
You got to start opening.
It worked.
People are just gonna start sending us stuff we shouldn't show.
Ooh,
Oh, what is this?
a reason to join Hex 3D.
Oh.
That's what this
I'm not
is.
a member of this group apparently.
This is
What is going on here? Is this this is a render,
mean,
right?
this is render. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a render. Yeah, that is nifty. Is this from something?
It's from Men in Black.
Is it really?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the little alien that's in the one dude's
I
head.
just lost some nerd cred.
Come
For
on,
the
Will
record.
Smith. Jeez.
I know. I
I
haven't.
heard he smacked the
I-
crap out of some people in that movie.
That's what happens. He slaps your face off, and that's what's on the inside.
So it's the inside of Chris Rock's head.
It's the inside of Chris Rock's head.
Oh,
It's a
jeez.
little alien.
I love it. Well, yes.
That's where some of his like
this is
off jokes
awesome.
come from. It's an alien trying to make human jokes, but they're not quite hitting.
So if you have not checked out Hex 3D, amazing stuff. You
Super
have to
cool.
you got to jump on the Patreon and become a patron. And then once you're there for like 3 months or something, you only get what you're there for. And then once you're there for like, I think it's 3 months, he opens everything he's ever done to you. Like opens it
Really?
all up.
That's really
And
cool.
it is
It's an interesting way to do it as well.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
oh,
way you
yeah,
don't
and
get people
he's-
signing up and then like turning their subscription off the
Yeah.
same night.
I mean, he's got 8,100 patron members.
He's
That's
rolling in it.
crazy.
And
what tier? What? oh, never
it starts at $10 a month.
So assuming all of them, let's just for the sake of calculation, assume that all of them are just the $10 one. You know,
It looks like
That's-
that's all
that's
I see.
awesome.
It's only a $10 one. That's
So
he's-
and it could have
Russian's
changed
awesome.
throughout the years, right?
yeah.
But amazing. I have some friends that are members of his, and the stuff they come up with is, I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Lightspeed says Hex 3D has like 12 million a year in sales revenue on Patreon. That is crazy. He's
That
like
makes
sense.
holding Patreon up on his shoulders.
Yeah, well, you figure 8,100 times say $10. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
good chunk of change a month. But
Good-
what
good
matters
quality
is,
files.
yeah, he puts out
That's
a ton
where
of stuff.
that's where it
puts
comes
out-
from.
Yeah.
Is having that good quality stuff.
Yeah. So nice work. I think Jeff is actually his name over at Hex 3D.
That's awesome.
I love that model, by the way. All right. Next, Stephen Poole. Tom and Jerry printed at 125% on a Bamboo Lab P1P. Found
Oh snap!
on
So is this
printables.
Is this MMU?
Looks like it.
Or are they separate pieces?
Let's see. It's a P1P, so my guess is all filament used is Polymaker. Jerry was 0.2 and 0.1 layers. My guess is it's pieces because P1P probably doesn't have it hooked up to an AMS. I'm just guessing, but my guess is it's a diorama, so it's many pieces.
Yeah, if you look, there's an edge on.
Yeah, you can
on
see
like
it,
that
yeah.
stomach. There's like a bit of tolerance.
Yeah,
there.
right here, like it's pressed in.
Yeah, you're right.
But it looks
Also,
so
I like
good
how
though.
the layer lines on Tom's stomach kind of look like a little belly button.
Yeah, it
I mean,
does.
the quality of
No,
FDM
on
these
Tom.
days as well is
Isn't
just
Jerry the
know.
mouse? Yeah. So it's backwards on the picture. Tom is the cat. Jerry is a mouse. Right? Sarah says yes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible the quality of FDM these days
yeah.
as well.
It's so cool.
Well,
Sarah's currently using my C-3PO face as to hold her yarn as she's
You know.
crocheting.
no. Sarah, can she hear me?
She
Tell
can't
her
hear
she
you,
has
no.
to pull the yarn through the mouth.
You have to pull the yarn through the mouth, he says.
Yes.
Oh, she's got real sad. She doesn't know how she's going to do that because she's already most of the way through her project.
Oh, never mind. Next time.
Oh. Next time.
Tell her. Yeah.
They
So,
told me I should wear the mask and stick my
100%
beard
agree
through the mouth.
with Kirby here. He says the quality of FDM. This brown especially, like I can't even. It hides
That's
that.
a nice
layers.
brown.
Oh, good.
It does, yeah.
Good prints. Nice work, Steven.
No show.
Yes, it's like he's drooling. I love it.
It looks like he's drooling.
Oh, he's got a noodle hanging out of his mouth, and he's about ready to suck it in. You know, it just,
He's about to.
yeah.
You should get like an R2D2 now and like have them do Lady of the Tramp.
Oh no!
Yes.
Have 3PO
Yeah.
and R2 do like a lady
I
in the
love
Tramp
it.
thing.
I love it. All right, next. Fix 'em Dude. Check out Shenanigans, taking these fun little toys to a whole nother level.
Shenanigans.
Let's check it out.
Oh, they're colorful.
Those
Oh,
are
they got the roller wheels, the clock spring style.
I
Inspired.
think these were Fix 'em Dudes designs, weren't they? And then so these are taken and made multicolor.
Modified, yeah, probably multicolored. Yeah. So good. There's the models. I love this, by the way. I might have to
Yeah,
print one.
your son would love that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Sometimes
saw?
I'm trying to like paint things as well, but now just multicolor is just such a good.
I paint like a 3-year-old. So fix some
Why do you
dude
paint
motors.
3-year-olds exclusively?
Yeah, I
you
paint
paint, like-
3-year-olds.
Have you ever painted an adult? Like,
Oh, that's for the after show. All right, Michael Morales diorama. This is Photos Mint Spidey figure by me. Diorama, sculpt and FDM print by Brett. She's with us, right?
Oh
Is she
yeah.
here? I don't know if she's
I
here.
think maybe not. I thought I saw her.
She's
earlier,
supported in
maybe I
resin
didn't.
by Charles Zuck. Anyways, here we go. Boom.
I'm still. Photos Mint is so
that.
dang busy. I've been talking to him like every week, and he wants to come on the show. He just can't even get sleep. He's working so much.
Yeah,
But we're gonna
he's,
have him on soon.
Yeah, I mean, I've had him hang out with me on my little podcast thing, but yeah, his work is incredible, and he just wants to teach me. He wants me to teach him SolidWorks.
There you go.
Nice.
That is so cool, though.
I mean, that's an overall awesome diorama. I love it.
I almost feel like the graffiti in the background should be a Hue Forge print. You know, that would be
right?
sick.
That would be really
That'd be
cool.
so sweet.
Even
I
though
love
it
the
pops
texture
right
on the
now.
ground too.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean it already pops. I'm just saying, like
nice work.
it almost looks like it
Looks
already.
like a lot of fun to paint as well.
Yeah. For someone who loves painting, this would be a lot of fun to paint.
For
for
somebody-
me,
yeah.
it would just be like it'd stay like this. That's my finished diorama.
Oh yeah, if you scroll down, it was actually Britt who tagged us.
Oh, nice.
I like the invisible. He's invisible down there. All right,
Right
what do we
here.
got? What's next?
All right, next, what do we got? Local maker, Michigan. HotMakes. 5 essential tricks to tips to learn Tinkercad. I'm not gonna play this, but super cool. Thank you for tagging us, and maybe what we can do. Well, check the description below. Hit up episode 158, and you'll find the link here. But
So I'm actually
gonna
talking
send this-
to Mike. He does hockey on Monday nights, but he said in the fall he's going to go back to a different schedule and potentially hang out with us at some point.
Nice. That'd be cool.
Already talking to him.
Well, do it. All right, next.
Do it. Do it.
After 55-ish
Strike me down
hours,
your hatred.
this is one of the coolest things this week. After 55-ish hours, my 3D printed filament painting of the Witcher map is complete. I have no idea how to say this. So this is CD
55
Project
hours.
Red. There you go.
Yeah.
CD Projekt
nailed
Red
it.
Witcher map.
CD Project Red. So this is 80 by 60 centimeters, 12 panels,
What?
printed on a P1P, made possible with HueForge. Okay.
That's cool.
So that's
And that was all done on
print.
HueForge?
Yeah.
And how many panels was that? It's
12
panels.
So you can see them kind of like right here.
So it's textured. So is it like a topographical map then, or is it just
12
textured?
square. I don't think so. I think it's, let's see.
I can't get it to play on
Ooh,
my end.
ooh.
Pop yours up.
I don't know if that it's actually topographical,
No,
but you
I
can
don't think it's
definitely,
topographical, but yeah, it definitely has
Definitely.
cool texture to it because of
yeah.
that's
well, because
cool.
of how HueForge works, right?
how HueForge works. Yeah, that's
This
awesome.
is sick. Oh, come on.
I am so impressed.
That's quite cool.
I love it.
I love Game of Thrones. I'm kidding.
Game
I'm
of
kidding.
Thrones. Oh boy.
I've never seen either
No.
of them, so
Oh boy. Oh boy.
sorry.
He's like, he's one of those people he's sitting in Star Wars and he's like, I love Star Trek. Is this the
Yeah.
next generation?
I
Or
didn't
is
know
this
they were
the
coming out
first
with a new Lord of the
generation?
Rings.
Yeah. But no, this is so good. I absolutely love. It never crossed my mind that you can make an old map like this using HueForge. That's not something that in my mind I was like pictures, stuff like that. But this is such a cool idea.
But that speaks to what Kirby was saying earlier, though. It's like people coming up with cool ideas, sharing them, showing how they did them, and then somebody
Right.
else is like, I have a different idea, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good. Nice work. I love it. Next, Liz is with us. I promised I would try out
Liz.
Fangs, so I've uploaded a few models. Feel free to follow there. Tulip face. Boom.
So I have an important question. Do you have to exclusively put tulips in this vase?
Ooh.
Follow-up
Now
question.
that-
Whose
now
face
that's
did
a
you get the
question.
tulips off of?
Yeah, that would be a nice place to put my Lego flowers.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Sarah did not like the joke. She thought the joke was stupid.
Well,
Oh, it looks like she posted her
roses,
yeah,
everything.
and the butterfly.
I just posted the link in the chat. So if you want to go follow her, do it. All right,
Do it.
next.
Do it.
I'm on that one already. Here we go. JBV Creative. I engineered
What?
and 3D printed a sculpture as a I can't even talk as a commentary on the distracted nature of today's gadget dependent society. This is phenomenal.
I did
Here,
not think.
check this out.
All right, I'm not gonna say what I thought, but I know other people in the audience are gonna think what I think.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let that.
Let's see. It's a dude with a phone. He's got a phone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they're on a
yeah,
conveyor
so it's
belt,
a head
right?
like looking down. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what's going on here.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool.
And then they're like, "Oh, I'm running into your future awaits."
Oh,
and,
just running into things.
and they're just
not paying
running.
attention.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they fall down. That's cool.
And then they
Back on the conveyor
fall
belt.
down the slide and go on to the next conveyor belt, and it all just keeps going.
This is one of those like art.
And this, yeah, this thing over here like grabs them and lifts them up. Grabs them. And, I love.
Yeah, this looks like it looks like one of those kind of like statement pieces that would be in an art gallery, just running 24/7. You know?
Yeah. So cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, to think of that in your brain, right? Like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a bunch of figures that look like figures holding cell phones, and then
That's exactly what they
put
look
them
like.
on. I'm gonna put them on a conveyor belt while they run and smash themselves into a sign. And once they pile up enough, they're gonna go down slides where they get stuck again because they're not paying attention until they smash enough to get back on the conveyor belt and start over. Like, so good. So good.
That's so cool. I wonder how reliable that is, though. Like, if you just left it running for like months at a time, do you think they would still be on the belt?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I think it would be awesome to find out. All right.
It's
One
a
more. I know we're
crazy
running late
thought
here.
process, though.
Dave makes stuff. The radial fans on these vases were, create interesting effects when printed with multicolor filament, designed for printing
I'm
in
already on
vase
board
or
with
spiral.
this.
Yeah. Go ready?
I'm ready.
Ooh.
Throw it at me.
Ooh, yes.
We need like super satisfying like Inception music playing.
Yeah.
I can play some jazz for you.
Some smooth jazz.
I love it.
Welcome to WHMAK, the hot. See, I'm not a radio guy, so I can't make it up as I'm going along. It's just awkward. Smooth jazz hour.
Yeah.
I tried. What is that noise? Oh,
That's
there
my
we
jazz.
go.
Oh.
There you go.
I was just like, I thought I paused it. Like, in my side, there's music. We have it muted
just
because
jazz?
we get copyright stricken sometimes.
Oops.
But no, you're fine.
jazz?
But yeah.
I'm like, I can do all sorts. I can. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
I've got custom buttons on this little doodad that I got here, but I haven't set them up for anything. I should set them up for some music. Play some jazz. Some smooth
Nice work,
jazz,
Dave.
some careless whisper.
Dave makes stuff. Nice work.
Well
Also, I saw something I might have to attempt. It was a 3D printed skid loader. I don't know if anyone else has been seeing this lately.
Okay.
This week, I'll just
Like remote
this
control.
guy started
or like,
a YouTube channel. I cannot. I don't
like
want
a full size
to.
one.
No. Mute me. Okay, there we go. So
This guy
in
looks
the
familiar.
other video, he made this. Yeah.
Okay.
So then he like changes some stuff. He adds a bunch of features. This is V2, right? And he makes the arm like go crazy and be able to do some fun things. And he added like a grabber claw on there. But this in general, the mini skitty is sweet. I mean,
It would be cool to make that with forklift attachment and then use that to like move those like mini wooden pallet like coasters around your desk.
Little
With
mini
coffee on
forklift.
it.
Like, this is the kind of thing I look at that. I'm like, yes, I need that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll buy all the
I
bits
wonder
for it.
how
I'll print it.
complicated
And I'll be
these-
looking at it. I'll have everything for it and be like, no.
Proud parent of a pallet jack.
if you look up mini skitty or 3D
Mini
printed
skitty?
skidster, whatever, you'll find his videos. Super cool. And that was the V2 version, so he's upgraded things that he liked or didn't like from the first version and stuff. But I keep seeing that. It keeps popping up. And it's probably because I watched the first one.
Earth contest, maybe.
There you go.
I mean,
Ooh.
I don't know if you've ever watched I can't remember the channel's name, but they have a competition called Loading Wars where they have little remote controlled forklifts and they have these competitions loading these different trucks moving through these tiny miniature warehouse type things. And there's just a bunch of guys in the garage just doing these like drinking challenges with these remote controlled
cool.
forklifts and remote controlled trucks and that. Beautiful trucks, but a lot of
I
fun.
need to see this.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Thanks.
perfect late
Awesome.
night
Thanks, man.
YouTubing where you just watch
Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I know we're running late. Before we get going, next week, are we doing a show or not doing a show? I can't be here next week.
I don't know. I'll keep because Jim can't be here next week, and I don't know what we might have something potentially interesting coming up. So I'll keep everybody in the loop on whether or not there's going to be a show on Monday.
Sweet. And I won't be here next week either way. The 21st, we have Brian Farmer on from. He does like a Fab Lab. He's teaches and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's a lot of fun. I think he's up in Minnesota area. And I'm super pumped to talk to Brian. We talked a bit at Murph, and I'm glad we're reconnecting to actually like dive further into what they're doing. And then the 28th is a special episode, so don't miss that one. Don't miss the 28th
is
too.
going to be a super special, weird, goofy, fun episode. You're going to want to be there.
Nice.
We got something fun planned.
Yes, it'll be a lot of fun. Before we go, Kirby, can you give us one more time who you are, what do you do, and where can we find you?
So you can just find the kind of stuff that I do is on kirbydowney.com. That's just a portal to everything that I do. All my social medias is all connected there. But on occasion I make props and that stuff. All my stuff is still available on printables and 3D My Mini Factory. But I love 3D printing things. I like making things. If I have a weird idea, I'll make it. I just like creating and designing and inspiring others to do the same. I'd rather teach you how to design than just you pay me to design.
Love it.
There you have it. I appreciate that mindset too.
Yeah.
Man, I'm tired.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Kirby Hangout, we'll be right back with you. Everybody else, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you. We will see you next week. Well, maybe Caleb will see you next week.
I
right
might see you next week. I'll let everybody know.
Central. I know it's getting
we need to
late.
do that at Earth. An Oreo dunk tape. Dunk tank. I can't talk. I'm tired.
Is that where you take your Oreos and you dunk them in water?
No, we get you to dress up in an Oreo costume, and then you get in a dunk tape, and
Did you see
throw tennis balls at you.
Lightspeed said he'll do the show with you.
I personally make that outfit.
Sarah says she'll make the outfit for you.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. All right. You guys have a good night. Kirby, thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody else for watching.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for having us.
We'll be back, everybody. See you later, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to WMKOT where we talk about hot makes, hot plates, hot cakes, right here on HotMakes. We'll see you next week. Oh yeah, smooth jazz. We forgot. Yeah. Wait a minute. Is that Bryan Adams I heard?